gratitude for the quiet, steady light that he brought into our lives. Thank you for the gift he was to our family and friends, for his gentle spirit, his quiet strength, and his kindness that spoke louder than words. Thank you for the ways that he shared his talents, expressing beauty and meaning through art and architecture. His work reflected his heart. He was thoughtful, creative, and full of care for the world around him and also for others. In our grief, remind us that it is not a matter of how long we live, but how we live our lives. Help us to honor Mike's example by living with integrity, grace, and purpose. Let us be ambassadors of love, reflecting our family names, our heritage, and our culture, just as he did, with humility and quiet pride. Comfort those who mourn today. Hold this family close in your peace. Help us find strength in our shared memories and hope in the love that continues beyond his life. We place Mike in your eternal care, trusting in your mercy and the promise of everlasting life. May his spirit rest in peace, and may your presence bring comfort to every heart gathered here today. Amen.
Amen.
First, David, Alex, and I would like to thank everyone for coming today to help celebrate Mike's life this afternoon. Because Mike was not a formal guy, but more of an easygoing kind of guy, and he always loved to party, we decided to have a celebration of life event instead of a traditional service. Mike was born on November 7th, 1959, here in Cleveland. Several of our families lived together at the time in what we lovingly referred to as the big house. Lots of cousins to play with. As our families bought homes and moved away, we found our family home in Wycliffe. This was a watershed moment for Mike and I. Now we only had each other to play with. So being the older sister, I didn't take the responsibility lightly. I began to tease him and boss him around. His sensitive and easygoing nature showed through, but he did eventually learn to hold his own ground. I remember there was a period of time after David was born, when out of the blue, Mike was very worried about being the middle child. He told me that he had read somewhere that a lot of crazy people turned out to be middle child. He was truly scared. I thought, what in the world is he reading? We definitely didn't subscribe to Psychology Today. Could it be the Reader's Digest magazine? Then I started noticing that when we ate our meals, he would separate the different foods on his plates. All peas, all rice, all meat. They could not touch each other. Then he would eat each food group separately. All the peas, then the rice, then the meat. So of course, I had to ask why his food can't touch. His answer was simply, I just don't like to touch it. But it all gets mixed in your stomach. His answer was simply, obviously, that doesn't count. The middle child. I need to find that article that he read. His creativity began to emerge at Wycliffe High School, where he joined choir, theater, and other social groups. He was truly drawn to the arts and wanted to major in art at Kent State. However, due to the social norms back then, and our father being driven by practicality, he had to choose a more practical major, and that is a job where you can make a steady income. And so he became an architect. He desperately wanted to get out of small-town Wycliffe and move to Southern California. Because my Auntie Fumi had offered to let me stay with her until I found a job in California after I graduated, I wanted to pass that gift on to Mike. Luckily, my new husband Manny at the time said okay. Within the first year, through family connections, he got a job at Blue Rock Architectural Firm. It was the first time that I was able to fully appreciate his artistic and creative abilities in his drawings, sketches, and building models. We didn't charge him room or board so that he could save his money up to get an apartment. 5 years later, he was still living with us. The guests that wouldn't leave. In the first half of his adult life, he was asked on occasion by myself and other family members to pet and house sit. Cousin Lori and husband Dave had Mike stay at their house and take care of the dog, only to find that the beautiful wedding futon on the bed had been completely destroyed by the dog. The first time I asked Mike to pet sit was for my dog and a newly found stray kitten while I traveled to Africa for a month, only to find out he had lost the kitten. The second time I asked him to pet sit my 2 dogs, I came home only to find I found a huge pile of my beautiful Berber carpeting piled on the kitchen table, with a note saying, "Sorry, but it's not my fault." The third time we asked him to dog sit, it was just for a long 4th of July weekend. What could happen in 4 days? He was washing his dishes when I came in and asked him how things went while we were gone. Without breaking his dishwashing rhythm or even turning around, he just said, "Well, your car got shot." I'm like, how did my car get shot? It's parked inside the garage. It turns out a drug addict who was high on PCP started shooting randomly in our immediate area. He thought it was kids shooting off fireworks and almost went out to tell them to stop. Luckily, the good-natured and easygoing Mike decided to let it go and not go outside. The next morning, he stepped outside the door with coffee cup in hand, only to find himself surrounded by a SWAT team with assault rifles aimed at him. They were getting ready to storm the rented condo next door where apparently the drug addict's dealer lived. Mike was worried about having to be a witness during the trial because he would have to state his name and where he lived in front of the shooter and the drug dealer. He thought about wearing the glasses with the funny nose as he described. So what could possibly happen in 4 days? With Mike, anything was possible. Needless to say, I never asked Mike to pet or house sit again. It was getting too expensive and dangerous. So as you can understand that I became somewhat alarmed when I heard that cousin Sue and her husband Mark had asked Mike to babysit their 3 little kids. It's all good, right here. But because of their love for Mike, the kids have maintained their silence about any stories. But I do know there was a police station involved in one of the stories. Mike was well known for having absolutely horrible sense of direction. In California, some friends and families were to meet up in the local mountains. One of the friends rode with Mike, but she fell asleep along the way. When she woke up, she was wondering why she was seeing cactus. They were somewhere out in the desert. Whenever we traveled in a group to events, we were always saying, "Where's Mike?" In Ohio, he was invited to a party at someone's house. He arrived bringing beer, of course, and a dish that he had made. He was a pretty good cook. So he eased into the party, introducing himself, and at some point realized he was at the wrong party. But he was such a nice guy, and I think they liked the food that he brought, that they told him he was welcome to stay. I think he stayed, but I don't remember because I was laughing too hard. He bounced around the country several times, from Cleveland to Southern California, and Cleveland to Seattle, and then Cleveland to Southern California a second time. He did ask if he could stay with me again, but apartment after the year, but at several years, he finally ended up settling back here. It was during this period of transitional movement that he was able to return to his true love for art and became a graphic artist. It allowed him to be both creative, certainly more than in architecture, and it was a practical profession. He could actually make a living at it. He worked various magazines and companies like Crazy Shirts, What on Earth, and Be Creative. And he would always help friends and family with their graphic design needs for their various organizations or architectural drawings for their home or remodel. He was always willing to help others. I could never understand why he hated the movie It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart. He said it was because George Bailey, the protagonist in the story, wanted to build buildings and bridges, wanted to travel around the world, just like Mike wanted to do. And George Bailey never did any of that, but ended up back in his small hometown, just like Mike did. I said, did you watch the end of the movie? The moral of the storyline is pretty blatant. George Bailey truly cared about his friends and family and always helped them, but never asked for help himself, just like Mike. Mike hated to ask for help. At the end of the movie, friends and family showed George Bailey how much he was valued and appreciated, and that's what made him the richest man in town. I don't think Mike fully understood how much we all valued and appreciated him. I hope he could feel that today. Over the years, I've tried to practice gratitude, to find gratitude in the small things, and even in the not-so-good things. Earlier this year, within a span of 5 weeks, our family has lost not only Mike, but Mark Ullman and Cousin Alan. It's been an overwhelming blow to our family. So how do I find gratitude in this? It took a while and long walks on the beach to find one. Like I mentioned, Mike had a horrible sense of direction, but now Mark and Alan are with him. So I am grateful knowing that they will make sure to show him to the right place.
It's times like these that we realize that we only know a slice of a person's life. So, like Karen was saying, for instance, many of you know that Mike was directionally challenged. And I remember one of the first Christmas gifts I gave him was a little pocket compass. And then later on, I gave him a Garmin, and he said, this is a total life changer. And for you young people, you don't know that the Garmins were like a device that was a navigation tool that we put in our cars. So beyond that, Mike was an incredible, gifted, and talented graphic designer, and always generous with his time and eager to help when he could. So I serve on a board for a nonprofit organization for prevention of child abuse, and for several years I directed a benefit, and it was a semi-formal event that was a Silent Life auction dinner dance. And Mike designed the brochures and the programs for 3 of those events. And his work actually elevated our program. So he didn't just contribute, he also made things a lot better. And so you'll see some of those examples on the table of some of his works. He even attended one of the events. He came to Oklahoma and came and got to meet the staff. And so he actually saw how his work helped our organization. So that's just a glimpse of my experience with Mike. And I know each of you carries your own stories, the moments that you laughed together, the moments that you shared together. So I'd like to open this up and invite you to take time to share some of your memories of Mike. So we're doing the roving Mike. No, I'm going to come to Joanne first. So Joanne is on a time. Do you want to come up here, Joanne?
Sure.
Okay. And I just have to say, Joanne is so special. I was so excited. I just learned that they went to prom together. And so anyway, come on, Joanne.
Yes, Mike and I went to prom, but I mean, let's face it, we all know that Mike was not a chatty Cathy doll, that's for sure. How do I talk about this amazing person? So much to say in so little time. So while I'm sitting over there, I'm thinking, where do I begin? I met Mike in high school, and we were on the drama club together, we were in chorus together, choir together, and we just kind of clicked right away. You know, we just, he had that kind of subtle humor, and I was kind of loud and Italian-like, I guess. But he was just amazing. We would do shows together, and we just connected so quickly. I don't know if it was his gentle spirit or my crazy Italian spirit, I don't know. But the way I'll start this is I was on the homecoming court, and someone had asked me to go to prom or to go to homecoming, and I was all excited because I didn't think anybody would ever ask me. So he asked me. It was Mitch Florentine, just so you know. Anyway, and then last minute he told me that he couldn't take me because he was going to take somebody else. And I was on the court, I had no date, and Mike had heard that I didn't have a date, and he goes, well, I was going to ask you anyway. I'm like, that's what they all say. They all say, I was going to ask you, but the other person asked you first. But anyway, we went, and he was just so much fun. I couldn't even believe that I was on the court. I think it was a mistake and a miscount completely. But anyway, we had a great time. It was just so much fun. And we really talked for hours and hours. When I look back on our relationship, I just think of all the times we talked on the phone, we got together and talked. When we were in high school, we went to his Auntie Setsu's house, and she taught me how to make wontons, and she taught me how to make fried rice. I mean, I'm like, Auntie, teach me everything. She goes, honey, the night's not that long, you know. So we just had a great time together. There's no doubt about that. And I loved meeting his family. You know, I love people, I love to talk to people, and with Mike being so quiet, I had to talk constantly if you really want to know the truth. I'm just kidding. Then when he was in college out at Kent, he said to me one day, he goes, I'm coming home for the weekend and I'd really like you to come to this meeting with me. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, what kind of meeting is it? He goes, oh, it's just a casual meeting. And I said, well, you know, girls always want to know what they should wear. I said, can I wear jeans or a dress? He goes, no, it's super casual. So he takes me to an actual church meeting. And I had no idea where I was going, and I think he was nervous to bring me there. And we went there, and he taught me about faith. He brought me to a place where I could really learn about faith, learn about the Word of God. And it was a very, very special moment, and I think it really solidified our relationship, our friendship, and it was just amazing. We used to read the Word together, and we used to study all the time. But that was a very, very special moment for me. We just became really super close friends as he went to college, and I went to beauty college and travel college. And when I started actually getting involved with somebody, I was dating this man, his name was Al, and I wanted to take him to a special restaurant. So I took him to Pier W, and I had gifts there. I had gone there earlier in the day, because I was going to surprise him, right? And I wrapped these gifts, and I brought him early, came back, and then I went there with my boyfriend Al, and it was a special night. We had a window seat at the Pier W, and I surprised him. I gave him all these gifts, and he's like, Joe, said, yeah, do you like it? Are you surprised? He goes, yeah, I'm really surprised because my birthday was in October. It's not November 7th. So I got Mike's birthday totally intertwined with my, who ended up being my husband. And I went, oh, wow, so I really missed your birthday completely, right? So we just laughed all night. And I actually called Mike and told him, I'm like, wow, did I really do a number on this one? But what I loved about Mike is his appreciation for things. We would have class reunions and all kinds of parties for the class. He always sent me a letter, sent me a note, texted me. Actually, at the last reunion, I didn't realize that he left his yearbooks, and I'm texting Karen yesterday, I'm saying, oh my gosh, I actually have his yearbooks. I mean, you want me to bring them earlier? Because I'm at work today, but just such a special, special man. But he laughed about that one, that's for sure, about the wrong birth date. Another thing that Mike did that was so cool is that my son wanted to get into graphic design. And when he was very young and impressionable, Mike took him under his wing. And my son's name is Michael. So Mike took him under his wing and really showed him about graphic design, and he'd say, man, your son's got real talent. And I'm like, well, thank you, because I just draw stick figures, you know. I just don't think that there's any way to describe such a wonderful person, such a wonderful young man. He was the most lovable, easygoing, dependable, respectable young man, person you could ever want to meet. And I'm so sorry for your loss. I understand it. And I'm just so happy that we're here to be able to celebrate together. Thank you.
Andy